Hello. Oh, is this thing on? Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. I hope you guys are having just a fantastic day that ends in Y. Yes. So thank you for joining. We're being broadcast live tonight, of course, on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, and also on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Like, subscribe, you know the drill. YouTube peeps. At least I hope you do by now. Maybe not. If you're new, it's a thumbs up icon. No matter how you are listening, make sure you stop into one of the chat rooms and say howdy. Or you can always send me the email at wildepaisley@gmail.com, and that's wildepaisley@gmail.com. And if you just want to support my radio habit, which if you want to, I would love that. And that is, you can do that with donations to the cash tag, and that is $TheSpacesBetween. Or if you want to learn about me or catch the occasional blog post that I throw up or other randomness or access to the storefront, you can do that by going to www.paisleywild.com. So it's PaisleyWilde.com. Yeah, I can't even spell today. Sorry, guys. I've actually... Sad thing, I've had too much coffee. I've also been up since before 5 a.m., so I'm a little tired. Yeah, there is such thing as too much coffee at a certain point. You just get kind of punchy. Just a skosh. Anyways, as long as you are online and checking stuff out, you can also check out iLife.com. iLife is the official sponsor for Truth Frequency Radio. iLife combines the unleaded or non-psychoactive properties of the ayahuasca plant, along with some high-quality CBD, to support your immune system, yourself, your soul, your energy, all of you, as you're trying to fight off the things around you, whether they're energetic or physical. Oof. And I've stopped watching the news because, blah. I'm not sure when 1984 became a playbook rather than, a work of fiction. But, yeah. So, just do what you got to do to take care of yourself and those around you. And that's all I'm going to say on that. But research. I always say research, but I'm serious. Before you do anything or make any choices regarding vaccine, don't vaccine, mask, no mask, visor, no visor, whatever it is you choose, research. And then do your research. Go to reputable sources. Just so you know, Wikipedia is not a reputable source. Neither is Facebook, honestly. Or YouTube. Or, there's so many out there. Do your research. So, on that note, tonight, here it is. July is winding down to a close already. I'm not sure where July has gone. I'm still kind of stuck on May, honestly, in part because we really didn't get a spring here in North Idaho. We had a fraction of the rainfall after having a fraction of the snowfall, and now we are having an exponential risk of fire and a fractional amount of water in our water reserves. The other day I was at the grocery store because, hey, Justin, I do go to the store periodically because I like some things fresh once in a while. And there's an ice shortage. We're limited to purchasing 2 bags of ice because, also, water is pretty much sold out off the shelves. Same with Powerades, Gatorades, that kind of thing. Oddly, decaf coffee is in short supply. I'm not sure why people drink decaf coffee. I'm sure there's a reason. I've been told it tastes good, and it's just like regular coffee, but, not as much caffeine. Sure, drink water. Tea? There's many things to drink. I just don't like decaf. But yeah, there's just weird shortages. And also my grandson has a birthday coming up, so went to the store to go shopping, and wow, there's a lot of empty shelves for hard goods. And when I say hard goods, be like toys, puzzles, games, that kind of thing, dolls, that sort of stuff. Lots of masks and hand sanitizer in the clearance aisle. But Not a lot of the other stuff, the toys and everything. Even the school supplies, those are a little random also, and backpacks and such, because, we are looking at school supplies already. I have started that adventure already. Fortunately, the school supply list this year is about half of what it was last year. Not sure why, but I'll take it. And then, just craziness, right? Yeah, just craziness. So yeah, just pay attention. If you're noticing stuff is being, bought up, do you have other alternatives? Is it time to start ordering in bulk or in quantity? I know that I am paying attention. Not because I'm a prepper, like, woo, I'm going to go live in my dugout basement for like the next 20 years because the world is ending. No. Prepper is in the power goes out. I live in North Idaho. Power goes out. Fires happen. For instance, my daughter-in-law, they had a fire just pop up out of the blue today, about a mile from her house. Nobody knows why, how it started, at least not that they're releasing to the news. And she has a go bag, not because she's a prepper, because she's not, but more because, if they have to leave the house, PDQ, she wants to make sure there's, clean socks and underwears, pajamas, toys for the kids, snacks, that sort of thing, medications, the important things. ID is kind of important, so she can just grab and go because she has littles, and if anybody's ever tried to wrangle 2 littles at once, it's only harder because when you have 3, it's kind of like a hurricane. 1 is category 1 child wrangling, category 2 child wrangling, that kind of thing. Yeah. For those of you who have more than 2, oh gosh, I don't know how you did it. Twins? Oh, even worse. Mostly because, I'm happy with 1 at a time. It's just easier. Anyways, I digress all over the place. So, as I was saying, it is rapidly approaching August 1st. And August 1st is traditionally when we celebrate the harvest as it's starting to be brought in. And it is a harvest celebration. And it's often celebrated, can't talk, about halfway between, let's see, hold on, there's a quote here I wanted to use. So, Lammas or Lughnasadh, depending on which you celebrate, is the first harvest festival in the wheel of the year, so first harvest, and it's a cross-quarter holiday, and it's known as one of the greater Sabbats. The other greater Sabbats are Samhain, Imlach, and Beltane. So it's about halfway between Letha, which is summer solstice, and Mabon, which is the autumn equinox. Mm-hmm. And often, so this is, I digress because I do that a lot, right? In a way, I really feel that the pagan calendar or the witch calendar is so much more appropriate than the Julian that we use right today, just because of the way time is broken up. I mean, if we have to measure time, why don't we use some logic rather than, how many days should this month have? 28 or 29? That's, what do you want to do? I mean, that's what they do, pick a number out of the hat and decide that's how many days are going to be in the month. I don't know. So, yeah. Lammas or Lughnasadh. So, that's, first harvest festival. And links, of course, in the show notes, just like I always do. And if you do have questions, I am watching the chats. Holy cow. I have a caller. Hold on. Hello. I think I have a caller. Hello, Virginia. You're on the air. Hello? Nope. Okay. Well, by the way, the phone lines are open. I forgot that part. So that number is 213-233-3989. 998, or if you're across the pond in the UK, it is 44203-393-2871. I promise I'll try to remember that a little better. I'm working on it. It's a work in progress, guys. So, anyways, yeah. In theory, we should be noticing that the days are getting a little shorter right now because it is post summer solstice, or Letha, and here in North Idaho, or the Pacific Northwest, it really doesn't feel like the days are getting shorter. Today the high was 104. Tomorrow the projected high is 106. Yeah, it's a little on the warm side, so it doesn't feel like we're approaching fall. It really doesn't. So, depending on your tradition, the 1st of August is called Lammas, which is Lammas, or Lughnasadh. So it's Lughnasadh. Thanks, Justin. Which is, it's not English, so that's why it doesn't look right when you write it down. And a lot of people call it Lammas, because Lughnasadh is kind of a mouthful to pronounce. And it's, if you're not familiar with the words, I understand. Apparently, there was a movie in the 30s called Dancing at Lughnasadh with Meryl Streep in it. So just random factoid. Lughnasadh, not Lughnasadh, and then Lammas. Very, very similar. So with Lughnasadh, sorry, I promise I'll not trip over myself too much, is thought to originate in prehistoric times. And the name itself, Lughnasadh, is derived from the Celtic sun god Lugh, or Lugh. And Lugh, literally translated, means the shining one, which makes sense as the sun god, right? So as the sun god, Lugh's mission was to make sure that the sun stayed under control and did not burn us up. So this time of the year, when the sun is starting to fade, is associated with them, because he's saying, "Whoa, sun, calm down. We're gonna chill out here just a bit. It's been too warm." So Lugh is not just in charge of the sun, but he is also the patron, if you will, of craftspeople, including metalworkers, musicians, magicians, healers, and warriors. So those who participated in the crafts and creation of things. And Lugh is considered the original jack of all trades, and so he was a very popular god, and he moved around a lot. He was at one point the king of the Tuatha De Danann, or the tribe of the fair folk. Lugh was considered to be a master builder, a harpist, a poet, a warrior, a sorcerer, metalworker, and a physician, so he could do pretty much anything. He is also considered extraordinarily beautiful and youthful, like an eternal youthful. And so, in the Celtic world, he was very, very well loved. So his origin story, if you will, he was a golden child, obviously. He's got all these things going for him. But as with many of the deities, his birth, if you will, was a little odd. So his father was Cian of the Tuatha De Danann, and his mother was Ethlyn, the daughter of Baelor of the Fomorians. Now, the Fomorians were the enemies, if you will, of the Tuatha De Danann. Now, they were supposed to get together to unite the two tribes and stop the hostilities, but Ethlyn was forbidden to have children by her father. And that's because Baelor had at one point received a prophecy saying that his own grandson would kill him. So even though they're supposed to get married, Lugh and Ethlyn, Baelor locked his daughter in a tower and said, "Nope, you can't be around men." Period. Nope, you're going to stay a virgin your whole life. But, Ethelyn had already fallen in love with Cian. And this may be the origin of Rapunzel, by the way. He found ways to get into her tower, of course. And with time, she became pregnant. And the Tuatha De Danann knew that there would be some trouble, and Baelor would probably try to kill the baby because panic, he can't live forever. And so Cian and Ethlyn were snuck away and went to live on a nearby island. And then when Lu was born, he was given to the harvest goddess Taltu, or it's Tailtiu, Taltu, and she's the one who raised Lu and turned him into the upstanding youngster that he became. So, unfortunately, Ethlyn didn't get to raise her own child. He went to Taltu instead, foster child. And she was a grain goddess, so Taltu was. And so she had to clear the fields of Ireland for planting and then reap the harvest. And then as she became older, of course, the burden became too much, and so she collapsed from exhaustion at one point and passed and died. And so Lu decided to honor his foster mother, and she had requested that only celebrations with happiness and no grieving would commemorate her death. So Lu had a great harvest feast about August 1st-ish, and there's games, drinking, merrymaking, and kind of credited with the origin of the Irish wake, because the Irish wakes, for those who don't know, tend to be a really good time. They're remembering the best parts of the person who passed, in addition to their grief. It's just their process. Americans don't get it, and that's okay, but the Irish do. So sure, the festival Lughnasadh could be called Lughnasadh, which is a tongue twister, yes. But it was named after Lu instead, because he's the one who threw the party. So it's always been associated with the harvest because Taltu was a grain goddess, and Lu was also the god of the waning sun. So like here, locally, the first crop of hay is in, wheat is yellowing, lentils are yellowing, pea is yellowing. Everything's getting ready to be harvested in the next 6 weeks, pretty much. Because here we have a much shorter grow season than in other parts of the world. And so, yes, we're absolutely looking at harvest. And then, so that's Lu, or Lughnasadh, the history of that. Lammas, which is pretty much the same festival but from a slightly different direction. So about 4th century AD, approximately, Constantine decided Christianity was more important than paganism, and so Roman Christianity began to dominate Europe and the British Isles. And so a lot of the pagan practices, as I've mentioned in the past, became outlawed by the Christian Church, the Roman Catholic Church specifically. So the pagan practices that the Celts followed, or other tribes followed, became outlawed. And so Lughnasadh, becoming Lughnasadh, became forbidden because it was considered a pagan holiday. And so it went underground, if you will. And people still wanted to celebrate it because they didn't want to stop revering the old gods, which I get. Instead, it became a new holiday, if you will, called Lammas. And Lammas means loaf mass. So generally late July, early August, it was a celebration of breaking bread, because wheat was generally harvested July, August area. And people started baking bread because they could store it that way. And they're like, woohoo, we're celebrating now. So Lammas, or Lammastide, stopped being just a one-day festival. Hey, Leo. Instead, it became more of a baking season. So it started in August and went for most of the month. and just a celebration of baking bread and baking things to prepare for the winter. So, Lammas began in history, or the history of it, started in medieval times, of course, and in England and Scotland it is also called the Ghoul of August. So today's linguists don't really know what ghoul means, but they think it's associated with the Welsh term gwylawst, which means the feast of August. So ghoul may have been an alternate spelling or just another way of saying it. And so ghoul became associated with gullet, because bread, of course, goes into the gullet, right? So, hey, we're going to eat and make merry. So in the medieval agriculture year, Lammas marked the end of the hay harvest, which began shortly after midsummer solstice, or Litha. And the end of the haymaking tradition was to release one sheep into the meadow, and anyone who could catch the sheep could keep it. So Lammas may have been derived from Lammas, or basically a celebration of the end of harvest. And Mass was considered celebration. Like Christ Mass was a celebration of Christ, if that helps you understand a little bit better or translate it. So in the chat room, Justin's like, trying to figure out where everyone is tonight. Maybe they're out Bigfooting. So for those of you who don't know, Brent Thomas and Don Longbeard are off adventuring in Washington. Got a Bigfoot thing because that's kind of what they do. So, yep, they've got a Bigfoot thing. And I'm sure they're going to come back with lots of audio and clips and good times. And Chris and Cherie are around too. I know that the powers that be have been working hard on the station and making sure everything's flowing smooth, because Microsoft likes to do updates and just, wow, talk about throwing a wrench in the ironworks. Some engineer out there has to justify his life, I guess. Ugh. So, today, Lammas, Lughnasadh, regardless of how it's celebrated, or how you call it, it's it's time of the year to celebrate. So a lot of farmers today are not as close to the land as our ancestors were. Used to be our ancestors literally worked the ground by hand, hand hoes, hand rakes, hand plows. Today, well, if you've ever seen any of the farming equipment, wow. The harvesting equipment is huge. The planters are huge. The tractors are huge. I'm real close to the Palouse. So if you want to see a video of insanity, when you have a chance, do a search on farming the Palouse, and they use huge equipment for tractors and loaders and all that stuff. So it's wild. Watching them bale straw after collecting the wheat. It's kind of funny because if they use the round bales and they're at the wrong spot, they will roll down the hill and take out a tractor. Used to be, we'd hear stories about people rolling tractors every so often. The hills are just that steep. So anyways, we are about to hit our first break. When we come back, it's just me in the studio since Dawn is gallivanting around. I don't know, maybe we'll start with some singing bowl, kind of winging it, figuring it out. I did remember to bring some of my rocks for those of on YouTube. This is a purple opal pyramid. So yeah, be right back, guys.
Kali, Inanna, Isis, Astarte, Diana, Hecate, Demeter, Kali, Inanna, Isis, Astarte, Diana, Hecate, Demeter, Kali, Inanna, Isis, Astarte, Diana, Hecate, Demeter, Kali, Inanna.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. Just got to remember to punch all the buttons and do the things, and yeah, and away we go. So yeah, we were talking about the differences between Lammas and Lughnasadh. I'm going to continue on that vein a bit tonight. So, but if you do have questions, I am looking for them in the chat rooms, or you can give me a call. And again, those numbers are 213-233-3998. Or if you're across the pond in the UK, it is 44203-393-2871. Or you can always send me the email. It's wildepaisley@gmail.com. That's wildepaisley@gmail.com. Oof, I gotta tell you, I'm sitting in the dungeon where the studio is, and it is warm. Oh my gosh. I should not have had warm coffee. I should have had iced coffee. Crazy weather. I'm expecting storms too, because it goes from 106 or so to like lower 80s on Monday. So yeah, that'll be fun, right? Maybe if it can bring some rain, it'll be funner. Just saying. We need more rain, because watching the water levels drop, it's kind of crazy. We're at August levels, but we're nowhere near our fall rains. So yeah, think soggy weather for the Pacific Northwest. Actually, just for the West Coast in general, because I know Oregon's got a doozy of a fire, and California does again too. And it's craziness. So today, the farmers in general, and actually mankind in general, I should say, is not as close to the earth as we were a millennia ago. Even 20 years ago, we were a lot closer to the earth. A lot's changed. Our society has drifted a long ways from the hunter-gatherer. Now we're very much the tech-driven age. And And it's interesting to ponder what's going to happen next with the world and the way we do things. Are we going to explore and go to the next planet over to have a farming planet, or are we going to start growing things on the moon, or what's going to happen, or what truly is going to happen? And I think we do need to take that step back from technology and society and a lot of the insanity we see online and reconnect with the earth. Often that's as simple as, getting your feet in the dirt. Yeah, if you live in town, which I get, or in a city, there are still gardens. There's places you can go and be barefoot safely, where you can get your feet in the dirt. That's if you don't have your own yard or garden space, which I get, not everybody does. But there are some things that you can do. And then, worst case scenario, get some potting soil at your local, hardware store, Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever it is, Ace Hardware, and just a Tupperware container that's big enough, like a wrapping paper container that you can slide under your bed. And just put your dirt in there and get your feet in there once in a while. Reconnect with the earth. And if somebody asks you why you have a bucket of earth, underneath your bed, just tell them you're channeling your inner Jack Sparrow, and most people will get that and be amused. Just roll with it, guys. That's of course going to be for those who are, out of the pagan pantry or the broom closet. If you are in the pagan pantry or broom closet, have some plants. Honestly, get some potted plants. Have a little fairy garden in one. It's like, woo, check out my fairy garden, and move things around, or get one of those meditation things you can get on your desktop with sand. Just, do whatever it is you can to reconnect with the earth. Get some rocks. They're everywhere. They don't even have to be fancy rocks. Just get some rocks and hang on to them. If you do want to, celebrate Lammas and Lughnasadh a bit on your own, go get a loaf of bread from your local bakery. Just keep it simple. Wine, if that's your gig. Beer, if that's your thing. Mead. Leo's off to go get his dirt. But yeah, your local bakery is going to have fresh loaf of bread or fresh vegetables. Corn on the cob, if you can get it. Leo says, we just got more hens. Does that count? That eventually, yes, you will have dirt, but not right off the bat. Sorry. Yeah. Hen poo does eventually get there, but don't put it on your garden directly. Hey, Mr. Don's in the chat. Hello, Mr. Don. Yeah, sake. You can have sake with your fresh loaf of bread. As a gluten-free individual, I miss a fresh loaf of bread. I really do. But gluten-free cornbread is close, right? Yeah, sure. Maybe I'll make Rice Krispie treats. That's still not quite the same, but sure. So, as we're looking forward and how to celebrate Lughnasadh or Lammas, what are things you can do around the house that are pretty low-key? Add some candles, yellow candles, orange candles, the things that are color of the sun. Pumpkin spice candles are going to be hitting the shelves any day now. They generally follow, school supplies really closely. Carnelian is a good stone to have around. Amber, if you have it. Just those yellow and red stones. Color as also citrine. Sunflowers are fantastic. So if you want a bouquet of flowers to celebrate Lammas, go get a bouquet of sunflowers. They've got the little mini ones at a lot of the grocery stores. Can't get flats of water, but we can get flowers, because that makes sense. Whatever it is you choose to do to celebrate, do it. It doesn't have to be something fancy. It could be something really, really basic. Truly. So let's see, what else do I have for information here? I'm just kind of looking through here, seeing the ways that other people celebrate. Yeah. Yep. Oh, goodness. Yep, pumpkin spice is already in Walmart in Leo's neck of the woods. Sorry, sort of. I don't know. Actually, I like pumpkin, so. So in Bavaria, in August, instead of celebrating Lammas or Lughnasadh, they celebrate the Ascension of Mary on August 15. So there's a lot of processions through villages along the fields, and during the processions, there's decorated bundles of herbs, generally consisting of up to 77 different herbs, are carried on a stick, and then the herbs are consecrated and stored away, and so they're used for ritual incense for burning during later in the year, like during the winter solstice or other rough days. And that's kind of a Catholicization, Christianization of a pagan holiday. Yeah, I agree, Leo. I'm not quite ready for the bags of candy. Well, I am, but I can't eat them. It's quite sad. Let's see. So, a lot of the original holidays or original celebrations for Lughnasadh and Lammas have switched from the 1st of August to the 15th just because they were trying to honor the Day of Mary and, be assimilated into I don't want to call it the Borg, although it is kind of the Borg. Just because, a lot of the pagan holidays were adopted in some and transmogrified, if you will, by the Christian Church, and it happened. It was a part of the conversion process. So, with the harvest celebrations in Bavaria being around the 15th instead of the 1st, that may just be the way they do it. But, it could just be the way they adapted to keep the holiday celebrated, but not having it overt and in the face of the Catholic priesthood. So another thought is, along with Lammas, it's when... because we've talked about the Oak King and the Holly King, right? So the Oak King is beginning to lose his strength, and the goddess is beginning to mourn his passage, which happens at Samhain or Halloween. And so that's why, the leaves are going to start turning and such. But, and the harvest is happening because the days are going to start getting shorter. And then Mabon happens, at the autumn equinox. Let's see. Just don't want to duplicate. And like I mentioned, links will be in the show notes. Once upon a time, when folks were celebrating Lughnasadh traditionally, there was a lot of contests, like with weapons or horse racing or athletic competitions. So the Olympic Games happening right now kind of coincides. And then Lou, being just the person that he was beating everybody during those competitions. And then there was a folklorist, Mary McNeil. She wrote the Festival of Lughnasadh. So for her, according to her traditions, there's also a solemn cutting of the first of the corn. So something that those of us here in the U.S. assume that corn means corn, like ears of corn. For the rest of the world, that's called maize. Even here, it was called maize, and corn was often the label applied to the highest producing crop, or the most popular crop, or the most common crop. So when we say corn here in the U.S., we generally assume, ooh, it's like ears of corn. We're going to have corn on the cob, that kind of thing. Other places, that's wheat. Just that's a linguistic shift that we've experienced, or that we've had to adapt to. Cutting of the first sheaves of wheat, basically, and then an offering to be made to the deity by bringing it to a high place and burying it. A meal of new food and of bilberries that people might partake of, or there may be, some sort of sacrificial animal that people take part of and have barbecue, basically. Also, corn dollies happen. So corn dollies are made from corn husks. Today, a lot of folks have a hard time getting corn husks straight from the garden because we don't have them, or a lot of people don't have them. Here in North Idaho, only really talented people can grow corn and actually eat it out of the garden. It does happen, just not often. I'm from Iowa originally, so when I'm thinking, ooh, you raise corn, it's going to be 12, the stalks are 12 or 14 feet high. Yeah, no. Not here. It's like 3 feet if you're lucky. So if you do want to make corn dollies, you can do that by getting corn husks for tamales at the grocery store. Leo's going to play in the dirt tomorrow. I like it. Do it. Dirt's good for you. There's the corn dollies were... they're kind of a big deal. They're very symbolic of the feminine deity. Common symbols associated with Lughnasadh. Gold colors associated with maturing crops, or green, because some things are turning green right now because they are maturing. Crystals associated with are things like carnelian or obsidian, copper, or malachite, or aventurine. Marigolds are a very, very common flower associated with Lughnasadh because they come in the yellows and the oranges and the reds, and they're just the beautiful fall colors. Sunflowers and zinnias. Dawn, it's funny. Children of the maize. Yes. Animals that are associated with Lughnasadh are horses, oxen, donkeys, mostly because they were used to help harvest, either to haul the crops in or to pull the wagons or the mowers, because even though farming didn't happen with like motorized equipment, if you have a chance to watch the Amish farm, they don't use traditional tractors. They use horse-drawn tractors or equipment, or oxen-pulled equipment, and they can still bale hay. They can they can harvest grain. It's pretty fascinating watching them use their equipment, it's fascinating. That's what used to be normal. So plants associated with Lughnasadh, generally all grains, your oats, wheat, barley, rye, here in the U.S., corn specifically, or maize. Heather is also very popular. Heather is often found on the coast. It's a purplish flower. Foods would be like homemade bread, berries that are ripe. Here in Idaho, that means huckleberries and blueberries. Some nuts are also available or starting to be able to be harvested as well. So if you're going to, hold on. Oh, Justin is teasing, and apparently only Dawn and Brent get to go. They have a fire pit going, and they're chilling out. So, ways to honor Lou. Practice some skills. What do you do that you're already good at, or a skill that you'd like to learn? Maybe it is crafting. Maybe it's writing. Maybe it's drawing. Maybe it's gardening. What is something that you have as a skill that you would like to be better at? Go shoot. Go to the range. Fire off a few rounds, or If you have an archery range around, get into archery. Archery is kind of fun. I personally like it. I don't have quite the same ability as I did 30 years ago as far as being able to pull a compound bow and consistently. So I've changed the way I do things, but no, bow's good. Hunting is good. Carving, figure it out. Bake bread. So you can bake bread from scratch. You can start off with the prefab dough that you get in the frozen section at the grocery store, or Leo wants me to mail him some huckleberry. I haven't gone huckleberry picking in a while. Last time I went huckleberry picking, I made everybody go camping because, it was fun. A little smoky right now. I don't really want to go play in the smoke right now, but I think smoked huckleberries just don't have quite the same charm. That's awesome, Leo. Leo teaches archery to the scouts. Yeah, I think that's great. Archery is awesome. So yeah, you can make bread, or you can get prefab dough and do what you want to do with it. There are quite a few Pinterest ideas as far as what you can do to celebrate when it comes to the bread. You can make dough and put like dandelions in it, or other wild herbs or natural herbs, garlic, or chives, or man, there's so many out there, and make yummy bread that I can't eat. But yes, there's a lot out there. Have a competition. There's a reason why there's a lot of competitions right now. The Olympics is going right now, and you know what? Celebrate the Olympics. I used to work for a company where it was a sales company, and part of what we did as a sales gimmick is we would do the Olympics every so often, and we would just do different. You had to accomplish different things to get your silver, your gold, or your bronze, and some of it was fun, some of it was kind of that's a dorky thing, but it was all in good fun, and there's often more money involved. So, but yeah, Lughnasadh celebrates, skill, competition. What is it you're going to accomplish? You could also create an altar. Again, like with the corn dolly, maybe a bit of bread, sheaves of grain, ears of corn, often a sickle, a ritual sickle, or other iron tool could be used to adorn your altar. Can you make a corn dolly? Yes. Can you buy a corn dolly? Well, yes. Oddly, I don't have any for sale in my store, but I should. Tomorrow, here locally, we have the farmer's market. And if I can wake up early enough, by golly, I want to go before it gets too hot because it's fun. In general, just meditate, reflect on the harvest and the traditions that have been around and existed pretty much forever, when it comes to celebrating the harvest, the food coming in. And, what have you accomplished, year to date? What's going on, whether it's the calendar year, which we're still in the middle of the year, or if you're following the Pagan wheel or the witch wheel, we're rapidly approaching the end of the year, which happens at Halloween or Samhain. So, yeah, there's all sorts of things you can do to celebrate and to do. Let's see. Trying to see what else there is. I had an article here. It's like, woohoo, some random factoids. And, I don't know. Oh, sadly, now is one of the holidays that overwhelms a lot of the ancient sites, such as, oh gosh, any of the standing stones around the world. And just pay attention. If you're bringing garbage, pack it in, pack it out. Your water bottles, your drinks, your ceremonial stuff, don't leave your debris. That's just tacky. Be respectful of the space. Stonehenge, that's what I was trying to think of. So yeah, if you go to the Stonehenge or any of the other henge locations, celebrate the stones, celebrate the earth, celebrate the holiday, but that doesn't mean you touch things you don't need to touch or leave your Kilroy was here. That's just rude. So don't do that. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I should mention here about Lammas. Okay. John Barleycorn is a myth or a tale, if you will. So John Barleycorn is the living spirit of grain or corn. And so as the corn is cut, John Barleycorn is cut down also. So that means he's surrendering his life so that others may be sustained by the grain. And he is both eaten as the bread and then reborn as the seed returns to the earth. So the first sheaf of corn is then very, very important because it produces, in theory, the best and the first seed in assurance of future harvest. So is death and rebirth. So everything dies within its season, and everything is reborn. And so it is maybe a bittersweet memory for Lammas or lesson of Lammas. But as I talked about John Barleycorn, I'm sure many of you recognize a very popular or common theme that appears in other traditions. But you can't figure out what that might be. Nah, actually, you probably can. So, yeah, just... yeah, John Barleycorn. But yeah, ritualistically, the first sheaf would be cut at dawn, and then winnowed, ground, and baked into the harvest bread, which was then shared by the community in thanks. So it's very much a celebratory thing. It's a full day festival, sun up to sundown, and then often there's a harvest supper with yummy foods and such. Let's see. I'm gonna stop there. Let's see, because I've got some other plants that are very symbolic of Lammas or Lughnasadh, but I want to go into them after the break because here it is, top of the hour already. Crazy time is screaming by, kind of like that train that y'all just heard. And when we come back, I'll do the singing bowl without a doubt, and we'll talk more about Lammas a bit. I don't know, I'll find something else fun to talk about just because, why not? It's a Friday night, and Dawn's not in the studio. We should have fun, right? Sadly, I don't have any sake because I bought a watermelon instead. Because, yeah, watermelon is that time of year. So, remember, go to the website, PaisleyWild.com, check out the book, and we'll see you. don't know about you all, but I really like that song. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. So, we are talking about Lammas and Lughnasadh tonight and how to celebrate basically the same holiday, just one kind of is easier to pronounce than the other. That's pretty much it. So, well, no, that's more to it than that, but that's the simplified version, if you will. I see people having yummy food. I'm going to have to go cut up a watermelon when we're done tonight because, yeah, actually, I love watermelon. To me, watermelon is like the epitome of the summer fruit. Even more so than cantaloupe or honeydew or apples or plums or anything else. Just watermelon. I love watermelon. Always have. Nom nom nom. So, speaking of Lammas and Lughnasadh, plants we mentioned grains earlier are very representative as far as plants go of Lammas and Lughnasadh because those are grains that are becoming ripe right about now. Other plants would be like meadowsweet or queen of the meadow, or bridewort or bride of the meadow. So it's a very, very sacred herb for the druidic path and is often worn as a garland or a necklace for Lammas celebrations. Also is used quite often in wedding circlets or bouquets this time of year. Also used in love spells and can be strewn to promote peace. And the smell is very cheerful. It cheers the heart. And as far as what does meadowsweet look like? Well, it's a little white flower with so it looks a little bit like an apple blossom, kind of, but it's much, much smaller, and it grows as a plant rather than a tree. So what else can I learn about meadowsweet? Also known as okay, I want to make sure I have this right because it made me giggle. Filipendula umeria. Filipendula. Meadowsweet. So, yes, it's a white flower. Kind of looks a little bit like dill, but it's not. So, you're gonna want to have a really good book with pictures, with the flowers and such, or there's apps you can do. We've mentioned this in the past. Or locally, it seems like there's a lot of wild crafting or wild harvesting different plants. Hey, Nessie. You're funny, my dear. So meadowsweet, just in general, besides being really good for this time of year, it's been used as traditional medicine for heartburn, colds, joint pain, arthritis, gout. And if you have a kidney infection or UTI, it's really good for those as well. And the pollen from the flower historically was used to flavor mead in the past and even today. So for those of you who don't know, mead was often used as a vehicle or a way for people to take medicine. Because mead was sweet, so a spoonful of medicine makes the spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. A horn of mead makes a lot of medicine go down. Now you stop and think about it. Hello. Yes, I do like mead. I need to make more, by the way. Mint is another plant that is very, very revered by the Druids. Vervain is another one, by the way. But mint has magical properties in addition to just being awesome. Mint is used for protection and healing. And right now, it helps draw abundance and prosperity. So I have mint growing in a pot. Mint can take over the place and turn into a weed, so be careful if you're growing it. So if you have mint, really good in your water, by the way, tastes yummy. Or you can muddle it with some other things as an adult beverage, whatever works. Because, yeah, it's drawing abundance to you and prosperity, and you're feeling good about things. Sunflowers are very common this time of year to represent Lammas. I gotta tell you, llamas is one of my, or not llamas, sunflowers are one of my favoriteest flowers ever because they're just cheerful. They're happy and they're pretty, and I just love the smell of them. Not the smell so much, but the look of them. And now it's like sunflower seeds, but that's something else entirely. But so in Aztec temples of the sun, by the way, the priestesses often carried sunflowers or wore them as crowns. And they symbolized, the solar deities because, well, they look like the radiant sun. Calendula. Calendula. It's funny. Some of these words, they give us the Latin, and other ones they don't. Calendula, by the way, it's kind of an orange flower. It looks a little bit like a marigold. Isn't that interesting? Actually, it is a marigold, just so you know. The bright yellow, orangey looking flower. Maybe it isn't. Calendula officinalis. Calendula is actually really, really good for you. No, I don't want to sign up for the newsletter. Do your research. Leo says they're planting mint, rosemary, and basil. Yes, mint is awesome. Justin says mint confuses and repels rats. Yes, it does. But I've also noticed that so do chickens. I had a couple of chickens or mice that were getting my chicken feed, and they're not anymore. And I saw or heard the chickens squawking and making noise because they're free ranging right at the moment. And I look outside and they're chasing one in front, and the one in front has a mouse in her beak. So she went hunting and she caught the mouse. I didn't give her the mouse. The cat didn't give her the mouse. She caught her own mouse, and everybody wanted the mouse. It was kind of funny. Yeah. Calendula will also self-seed all over the place. And they're pretty. I mean, honestly, again, they're just bright bursts of color. So what can you do? Calendula can be, you generally want to put it in a carrier oil if you're going to make a cream or ointment. It's really good for your skin. And if it's an oil, they found that it's actually a really good sunscreen. A natural sunscreen if you're allergic to zinc. Sorry, my brain just shut down. Calendula oil is also really good for wound healing, by the way. So yeah, just another one of those plants you should probably have in your herb garden because it's good for you. Your kitchen garden, your kitchen herbs, and your medicinal herbs, a lot of them do have cross purposes. Justin says his chickens do not kill rodents at all. Are you sure? Because they might. You just haven't seen it yet. But yeah, it's funny when they get a hold of something. Yep, attack chickens. Well, I have some odd chickens. That's just all there is to it, and I get it. Yes, pot marigolds are calendulas. Oh, no, Leo, you did not miss the bowl. I missed the bowl. I just started talking about flowers and sunflowers because I got distracted by the sunflowers because I love them. So, yeah, we're halfway through the third part of the show. So, yeah, singing bowl time. Yeah. No, well, nope. Leo, you did not miss it. You're right there. Yeah. Gotta love the singing bowl. Can never have enough. And if your cats are keeping your mice away, it's even better. You don't have to rely on your chickens, right? So, you can make charms to celebrate Lammas and gathering abundance. First off, hey, good morning, Murray. make a broom or a besom. And it doesn't have to be a traditional besom or broom. It could just be one you get from, the local store. Dollar store sells brooms for $1. Are they fancy? No. Do they do the trick? Sure, they do. Or you can make make one bundle of twigs. So if you have access to birch twigs, like you want the skinny twigs, the really, really teeny tiny ones, the ones that poke you in the eye when you're mowing the yard kind of a thing, or willow or reed, or if you can use grass, that kind of thing. You'll want a bunch of it and a stick, and you're going to bind it to the stick to make a quick broom. Maybe it's a hand broom if you want. But the broom or the besom is a very potent symbol of hearth and home. To the point where it's recommended if you move, you leave your broom behind because it's blessing that particular house or to bless the next homeowner, in theory. But often as you're using, creating something is going to instill a bit of your essence into it, honestly. And the broom or the besom is also really good for everyday uses. Like, you're cleaning your house, you're getting rid of that negative energy. And as you use it more often, it actually gathers more energy. So, and sweeping the floor is kind of one of those things that most of us have to do at least once in a while. And so it's really getting the imprint of you on it. So you don't have to have a ceremonial broom. You can just have a broom. And it's all part of who you are. Speaking of, if you turn a broom upside down so the bristles are pointed up, kind of as indicator that you want someone to leave. Then just saying. It depends on how you store it, right? I would love to learn how to fly with a broom. But, I think maybe a plane or a helicopter would be more fun. Just saying. So if you've got your broom, right, that's what you use. You can use a green ribbon for abundance and gold ribbon for prosperity, or other harvest colors. You can tie it in a ribbon. You can put it around the broom. You can put it on a necklace. You can have it hanging next to your door, kind of a thing. I have a broom I should actually decorate up for Lammas. Maybe I'll do that with Mini-Me and we'll do a video. That'd be fun, right? Yeah. Ooh, spaceship. Marie, you're speaking my language. I would love to be on a spaceship. Just saying. Unfortunately, I don't have all those billions of dollars to build my own spaceship. But I think it'd be fun. If you guys ever saw The Explorers where they turn a tilt-a-whirl toy, or not tilt-a-whirl toy, but the ride tilt-a-whirl, one of the little carts that spins around, into a spaceship. Yeah, I want one of those. Just saying. Spring of mint. So mint from your garden or even from the store. Or dried mint, you put it in a pouch. So mint itself represents abundance and plenty. And, it's something that you can find. If you can't find dried mint, like a sprig of it or fresh mint at the store, honestly, you can get some mint tea. You can make do. Is it the same? No, I suppose not. But if that's what you got, that's what you got. Leo got to fly in Black Hawks. Yes, I would love to fly a Black Hawk. I think that'd be fab. That's a reason why I'm not allowed behind the wheel of a sports car. Just saying. So you have your broom, and you've got your ribbon, and you've got your mint, or your mint in a tea bag, or mint. You can take the tea bag and stick it in a little pouch, whatever works for you. So you're going to tie your sprig of mint or your pouch, and you're going to go outside, and you're going to take the stave and focus your intention, or the handle of the broom, and you're focusing on gathering your harvest for winter. So you got your handle of your broom, the stave part, and you're going to turn slowly 3 times clockwise, and then start sweeping towards your door, and you want to say, by 1, 2, 3, and 4, Sweep Lammas gifts to my door. May abundance be a constant friend by my hearth till winter's end. And you say that 3 times because 3 is a very good number. And then you bring your broom back into the house and put it in its usual place. You can leave the ribbon on it for as long as you want, or a month, or a lunar month, or until winter is done. Whatever it is that feels appropriate to you. And if you make a broom instead of using just the one that you use every day anyways, you can just place it where you feel that the heart of your home is, or wherever the center of it is. And then you can return the mint to the earth as a way of saying thank you to the earth for the the energy. Now, if you don't have an outside space, because a lot of people don't, they live in apartments or condos, that kind of thing, you want to sweep from your front door inwards towards either your kitchen or your hearth, using that same type of energy, same charm. But the corn dolly, you can make one of those too. You don't have to use corn husks. You can use other reeds as well. You can also use pipe cleaners. It doesn't have to be something fancy. I mean, honestly, if all you have is paper, you can make one out of yellow paper. I mean, it's kind of what you want to make, or what feels correct to you. There's a couple of different videos on how to make a corn dolly, and that's pretty straightforward. And you can collect seeds. Now's a good time to start collecting seeds to start drying for harvest next year. So a lot of plants are producing seeds right now, so you can collect them, harvest them. Whether it's, I'm trying to think what would be a good example. Tomato, peppers, squash, pumpkins. When Mini-Me and I go to the pumpkin patch to gather pumpkins, some of the seeds we roast because they're awesome to eat and they're very good for you, and others we do dry so we can plant them in the future. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Let's see. When it comes to your altar and how you want to set it up to celebrate that kind of a thing, it's pretty much up to what does it feel right for you. I mean, are there certain things you could do that are, pretty much consistent across the board? The yellows, the oranges, the reds that indicate things are or ripening and getting ready to harvest. Yeah, there's that stuff. But sometimes you need to look to see what else there is, what fits your world. I mean, if you have a bunch of toddlers, well, having a lot of candles lit all the time, right where little toddler fingers can reach, is not such a good thing. But, carving pumpkins and letting them pull the stuff out of the pumpkins, that is something that's good. Here locally, we have a farm that grows lavender. So sometimes you can go and gather your own lavender to dry it. A lot of herbs and such are good to dry right now, or start to process. I'm trying to think what else. You can make your own incense. So in the past, I've collected cedar. I've made cedar incense sticks, which you crush it together, you wrap it with string, you let it dry so it burns, and that works pretty slick. So does just taking the branches and letting everything dry out and running it through the food processor and burning the powder on a little briquette. So it all depends on what is easiest for you and least time consuming. If you don't want to use a food processor, I totally get it. You can use a mortar and pestle. Just time is real, or a lack of time is real. It's also good to, when you're harvesting things, make sure you're labeling your bottles and your jars and such so that if you have ground things into a powder for, for incense versus, cooking, so you don't confuse what it is. Because honestly, if you've got wild lettuce ground up to use in a poultice or as a tea or what have you, and it's sitting next to the mint, they look very similar. They don't have quite the same reactive properties. Just saying. You want to make sure you have things labeled correctly. Leo, actually, huckleberry starts is something you can buy rather than by the seed. A little more complicated by the seed, but starts, like seedlings, that might be easier. It might be easier. Just maybe not. Depends where you get them from. Mountain Rose Herbs. Is that who I go to? Mountain Rose Herbs. No. Yes. No, they have organic herbs and spices. Actually, it is a good site. I love going there. I am not allowed to shop there unsupervised. Because, they've got a lot of stuff. I just got a catalog. I'm not on my usual calendar. Not calendar. The websites I go to are a little different. You can buy stuff from Burpee. It's not quite the same. Was it rareseeds.com? Yeah, rareseeds.com. Oh, Baker Creek heirloom seeds. Yeah. They are a fantastic place to get seeds from. And if you can get live plants there, or you can get seeds too. So, they've just got some really, really good products there. And a lot of really good information on their website when it comes to seeds and such. Now, am I all 100% organic? No, I think you need to pay attention, but heirloom seeds are good. So here's the link, Leo, my dear. And I just like the way they lay out their page. Honestly, it just makes sense. And they don't take themselves too seriously, which I gotta tell you, that's kind of a big deal. Don't take yourself too seriously. There's too much going on in the world to be too serious about it. Generally. Chamomile's another good flower to have. Just saying. It calms everything down. Blah. Sorry, hair in my nose. What else? What else was there? I had another thing. I was looking at Lammas crafts. So you see people doing spirals and stuff. Just be careful if you're doing them out in the wild, that if you're moving rocks or other things, that you're not damaging ecosystem or environment and such. And those rock cairns, some of them are there because they actually mark things and they shouldn't be disturbed. And sometimes they're put there because, ooh, this is pretty, I want to take a picture, and they kind of mess everything up. So, just pay attention. Let's see. If you are growing your own garden to store your onions and your garlic and such, you can braid the stems together and make kind of like a daisy chain, but with onions and garlic to store them. That's another way to harvest and store stuff. If that's your gig. If not, I totally get it. So, anyways. Tomorrow, I will be going to a birthday party, which I'm just so excited about, in the 106-degree temperatures. Oof. Not really excited about that, but at least we'll be at the lake, right? Let's see. Anything else fun and interesting before we go to break? No, I'm not going to have anything before we go to break. So, last break of the night is bottom of the hour, and I don't know. We'll finish it up. We'll see what I can come up with over the break. Because yeah, that's just the way it is. So, anyways, I'll see you guys in just a few. lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we're off adventuring into the spaces between. For those of you who are just tuning in, we're being broadcast live, of course, on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, and on YouTube. So hello to everyone. The call line is open yet tonight. That number is 213-233-3998. Or if you're across the pond in the UK, it is 44203-393-2871. If you have a chance to say hello in the chat rooms, please do so. Or you can also send me the email at wildepaisley@gmail.com. That's wildepaisley@gmail.com. What else? Is there anything else? Oh, check out iLife.com because iLife is the official sponsor for Truth Frequency Radio. And it helps support you. Check it out when you're doing your research that you should be doing anyways, right? So a Facebook group that I participate with and I do readings for on Fridays, tarot readings and such, in addition to the ones that are offered on the website, because I do offer a basic tarot reading, a deluxe tarot reading, and dream interpretation through the website. So if you have questions on that, send me the email or check it out online. It's interesting. And I'm going somewhere with this, by the way. It's interesting because I'm part of this group that's really grown exponentially in recent weeks. I think we just hit 80,000 members, and it's Natural Witch. Yeah, that's what it is. Let me double check. Natural Witchcraft. Oh, hit the wrong button. It's on my cell phone. Come on, push the button. Not that button. Push that button. Hey, hey, hey. And, oops. Not there. There we go. Yeah, Natural Witchcraft. And it's kind of interesting because there's so many people out there looking for information and trying to figure out what they're doing, where's the best place to find information, and they ask questions, and the new witches or the new pagans ask questions of those who've been on the path a little bit longer, and there's multiple traditions and paths being discussed and followed and such. And it's something I see periodically, and not just on Facebook, but across the interwebs, and in books and articles and interviews and all of that stuff, is that occasionally someone will say something and it comes across as being an absolute, and it's maybe their interpretation or how they grew up, or it's part of who they are, but it's not what everybody else believes or what everybody else does. And so it comes across as being wrong to other people. And I see a lot of fights picked online over this kind of a thing, which is kind of ridiculous. And it's frustrating because honestly, there's enough finger pointing and anger directed towards pagans in general without, infighting amongst ourselves. And, we all have opinions. A lot of us follow different traditions. Sometimes our traditions are those we grew up with. Some of it is traditions we're learning at any point. I'm in my mid-40s, and I'm doing this. Hey, have fun fishing, Nessie. I hope you guys have a good time. And catch lots. And it's, I don't know, it's vexing for me to see so many people get fussy or grouchy or downright rude and hostile when it comes to trying to help others out. So pages like Natural Witchcraft are informative. They're collaborative. It's a group trying to help inform others in the group and share information and so everybody can grow. It's not supposed to be a hostile work environment. But that's not always the way it is. So when a question is posed online, and I'm talking specifically about, paganism and witchcraft within that, but these are things that can be applied across the board to the interwebs. So if a question is asked and an answer is made, maybe you don't agree with the answer, or maybe you feel the answer is wrong. Well, there's a right way and a wrong way to go about, interacting with the people that ask the question and those that have answered. So when it comes to paganism and witchcraft, there's, some people do a lot of research when it comes to paganism, and some are just trying to figure it out. And so they're glomming on to things that they might find other places. Sometimes it's social media. Sometimes it's something that somebody said. Sometimes it's, Reddit or TikTok or Twitter, or some famous person said this thing once upon a time, whatever it is. There's many ideas, many thoughts being stated. So if someone asks a question in regards to paganism or witchcraft, and the answers are made, and you're unhappy, or maybe you're happy, whichever way it goes, before you respond to the commenters or the person who posted originally, ask yourself, is this within your tradition? In other words, is this within your knowledge? Is this something that you do? Is this your path? Is it part of who you are? So if you are a Dianic witch, for instance, meaning you follow only the feminine deities, and someone asks a question about Pan, who is very much not a feminine deity, he's very, very masculine, are you the right person to say, oh, that answer's wrong? Well, it depends. Is it within your tradition to answer that question? Maybe, maybe not. But if you specifically follow Hel, H-E-L, for instance, your opinion on Pan is just that. It's an opinion. It's not necessarily factual, because it's not necessarily part of your tradition. Unless, sure, maybe you have an education in comparative religion and you do know. But you have to come from a place of knowledge and love, for crying out loud. So, as a pantheist, it's frustrating to see people say, oh, my way's the only way. It's like, no, it's not. No. So pay attention. When the question is asked and the answers are made, is your 2 cents that you want to add truly as a part of your tradition? Or are you just trying to point out and say, oh, you're wrong, I'm right, and start an argument? I saw a post earlier today. It was a witch, a picture of a witch in theory, doing a thing, wearing a mask. It was obviously photoshopped in, and it was the witch saying, in theory, in italics, things that wearing a mask, helps me with. And one of them was like hexing people around me when they make me angry. They can't see my lips move. Totally get it. Or, they can't see that I haven't waxed my hairy lip or whatever it was. It was very tongue-in-cheek and very amusing. And some people went way off the deep end with it. Some people found the humor and kept with the humor, and others just couldn't see the humor in it. So stop. Ask yourself, is what's being said within your tradition, and are you looking at it from a place of love and light? Some humor. Humor is real. Or is it, just going to make you angry? And if it's making you angry, you scroll by. You don't have to stop and comment on those things that make you angry or upset. You can move on. You don't have to focus on it. So, is the question on your level? So, if you are trying to put something out there, maybe you're trying to post things to draw followers, or maybe you're doing affirmations or doing different things. You want to make sure that you're being correct. You're not you're talking down to the people who are tuning in and listening. Make sure you're explaining things correctly and succinctly, without fluffing it up with a bunch of opinions and, oh, well, I do it this way and I do it that way and my way is the best way. And no, just do what is best for you and say, hey, this is what I do and it's best for me. Learn from it what you can. And, if you want to do the same thing I'm doing, that's awesome. If when you're looking at a social media post and you learn more about them, and it's like, oh, they've been, part of the pagan community for 30 plus years and they know this and this and this, and you want to tell them that their interpretation of Zeus is incorrect, maybe you want to make sure that you're coming from the right direction. Whether you are older and you know more, or you are younger and know more, or either way you know less, make sure you're not talking down to someone and trying to make them feel, or not even necessarily making them feel, but they tend to feel minimized. The in out in the world, it's called mansplaining, which I think is kind of funny, but it's also called witch-splaining if it's within witches, which makes me giggle a lot. Fae-splain is another one. So, yep. Hey, Justin. No worries. So, yeah, if the conversation is not on the same level or the same wavelength as you are, that's okay. Just, don't talk down to people when you're trying to explain stuff, whatever it may be. Now, if the original poster or the question asked, or the answer responded to, is it really truly wrong, or is it a different way of explaining it? Because sometimes it's not a right and wrong. I've seen conversations where people are arguing in caps, as bust a cap locks on someone, and they're saying the same thing just in different words. So make sure you're not witch-splaining. Is it wrong, or is it just different? For instance, within tarot, I don't read cards reversed. I just don't, because it's not. I don't see a need. I just don't. And maybe someday I will, but generally speaking, no. I just kind of roll with this is the interpretation that I'm going to make of the cards, and that's how I put it out there. That's how I interact with my cards, and that's the way I do it. Is that the right way or the wrong way? Well, neither. It is my way. Your way may be the same, or your way may be different, and that's okay. It is okay for us to be different in the way we read tarot. Honestly, it's normal. Really, truly, it is just normal. So when it comes to, responding to an answer that you feel is wrong, is it wrong or is it different? Think about it from as many points of view as you possibly can. Ask someone if it is the right thing to do to respond, and make your choices mindfully when it comes to answering a question, or to saying, that's not quite right. Just you're close, but not quite there. Make sure you're wording it correctly. Again, don't witch-splain. That one just sets everybody's teeth on edge. So, as I mentioned, this natural witchcraft page that I'm a part of, I'm enjoying it. I'm learning a lot, honestly, and I'm meeting a lot of people, and it's fun, and that to me is appropriate. I have seen a few things that I'm like, that's not quite the way I would have answered that question, or that's not quite what I was suggested. But in general, I've noticed that it's a wider section of society. It's an international page, which is fantastic, because there's different traditions being represented in different cultures around the world, which is, again, fantastic. But you need to stop and ask yourself, is something that's being posted causing real harm? Like the post about the witch wearing the mask. It was supposed to be tongue-in-cheek. It was supposed to be humor. Was the post itself saying, oh, you shouldn't put a mask on, or oh, you should put a mask on? No, it wasn't doing that. It was tongue-in-cheek. It was humor. But some took it as being truly harmful. It was a mess. And it's not something that, 10 years ago, we would have even considered putting a mask in a meme like that would create that much. There's like 300 almost comments on it. Some finding it amusing, some finding it not amusing, some finding it just false news in both directions, which I thought was hilarious. There's so many different interpretations of one image that it made no sense that it meant all of those things at the same time. So, Was it really, really incorrect, the things that were being done? No, the way it was being handled, that was incorrect. The way people were talking about it and doing the things, that was the incorrect part. Seriously. But when it comes to posts or things we see online, is the information out there causing real harm? Sometimes, yes. Like the whole Tide Pod challenge, for instance. Did that challenge cause harm? Yes. Yes, it did. Would I talk down to somebody who said they participated in the Tide Pod challenge? Oh, probably. Because what made you look at a packet of soap and think, yummy? I don't get it. So when you see something like that, is it causing true harm, or is it, trying to be amusing and funny, failing perhaps, but, okay. The article I'm referencing here is from pathos.com, link in the show notes. Example the author here has is, I don't care if you're not in my tradition. I don't care if you're a ranked beginner or an experienced elder. If you argue that religion is determined by blood, I'm going to tell you that you are wrong. While it's perfectly normal to feel called to the beliefs and practices of your ancestors, when you start basing religion on DNA, you're going down the road to folkishness, segregation, and racism. Some traditions are very much according to your culture. I'm thinking of the Native Americans or the first tribes in general. A lot of their cultures, a lot of their traditions are very much based upon the roots of their peoples. Totally get it. That's one thing. However, my roots are Celtic and Norseman, or Viking, and so, yeah. Does that mean I'm inherently magic? Well, I think everybody's magic, honestly, but does that mean I have to practice either Nordic or I have to practice Celtic? Well, no. It means I'm going to practice the way I feel appropriate, for crying out loud. That's why there's so many different traditions. DNA does not mandate you have to follow a specific tradition. Justin says people are idiots. Hey, that's Wizard's first rule, by the way. People are sheep. So when it comes to your DNA, it doesn't dictate your religion. If that was the case, then, there would be no new religions. Scientology never would have happened, right? Sorry. Sci-fi, right? So if somebody posts something and the error or the mistake isn't really truly hurting someone, there's no reason to get aggressive and do name calling and being rude about it when it comes to correcting it or giving the correct information. Just, if it's causing real harm, yeah, say something. But if it's not, then, just kind of let it be. People will figure it out. Or, calmly explain why that's not quite right. Like someone says, oh, you can dry, stinging nettle and smoke it, and it'll be just like, smoking mint. Well, WTF, folks, that's not the way this is supposed to work. That's a tea, not a smoke. But not everybody understands that. And some people, like Justin mentioned, yeah, they're idiots. A question when it comes to responding to any of those posts or any of that commentary out there, even face to face, is, will your rebuttal be heard? 100% a really big deal. So if you don't have a standing in the community, does your opinion really matter to those who are within the community? Are they going to take your argument seriously? So, for instance, I've seen a few trolls come into the show, and in the chat rooms, they're either Islamic or Christian, and they say a bunch of things that really don't have much to do with the show. It's not relevant. So that stuff gets hidden, and those people get banned or timed out or, different things. And that's the way I handle it, because that's their holy book. Just like if a Christian says, oh, you're a pagan, you're going to hell. Well, no, according to your book, maybe, or your doctrine or your dogma, okay. But according to mine, no. So that's why this whole cancel culture that we've been dealing with, we're trying to judge other generations or other people through the lens of our own faiths and beliefs and ideals. That's not appropriate. We need to stop and think about it. is what we're saying our rebuttal really truly being heard? So as a pagan, if I walk into a church and say, hey, you should all be pagans, are they really going to listen to me, or are they going to want to tar and feather me and maybe give me an exorcism to go? Probably the exorcism to go. They're not going to want to listen to me, generally speaking. Don't be the keyboard warrior. That's the big thing. And then here's probably the most important one question that you should ask yourself when it comes to commenting on posts or responding to things that you see online. Is it really, truly the best usage of your time to get into a keyboard argument with someone with a different opinion? Probably not. So if it's not worth your time and effort, why are you investing your time and your effort and your energy? I mean, we only have so much energy in the day. We only have so much time to get stuff done. So is what you're doing really, truly worth your time and effort? Because, newsflash, there's always going to be someone wrong on the internet. Abraham Lincoln said so. Just saying. So if you try to correct someone or rebuke them all or try to educate them all, you're never going to get anything else done. And you're going to be a blithering mess the entire time because you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be content. And, I know that I have typed some things out and I've been ready to hit send. It's like, oh, I typed out this masterpiece. You're going to read it and people are going to be swayed to my side and they're going to get it and they're going to grow spiritually and energetically and it'll be awesome. And then I'm reading the time I've taken to write all these different things that, this argument for whatever it is I need to say. And I'm reading everything else. It's like, they're not going to read it. Delete. Because it's just, is it really the best usage of my time? I mean, I have a mini-me. Responding to a bunch of crazy people online. Is that really the best time? The best way for me to invest the time that I should be spending with my family? No. Does it happen sometimes? Yes, because I do have commitments. However, just like any other commitment, sometimes you gotta weigh the pros and cons of those commitments. If they're taken away from the other places that you should be investing your time and energy, maybe you shouldn't do them. I'm as guilty of this as the next person, so I'm not pointing fingers because something someone told me one time is if you're pointing your finger at someone else, there are 3 other fingers being pointed directly back at you. So before you shake your finger at someone else, you've got 3 fingers being shook at you. Are you in the right before you make that step and shake your finger at yourself? Just saying. So yeah, is it a good usage of your time? There's a quote in here that is highly appropriate. Is never argue with a pig. You just get dirty and the pig likes it. As someone who has raised pigs, this is a true statement. Pigs don't care. They just want to do their own thing. So, don't argue with the pig. Just yeah. Invest your time and energy where you need it to. And the last one on the list here is tell people what you are for, not what you're against. This is actually a statement that I wish our politicians would embrace 100%. I'm tired of hearing how someone else is not good enough. I don't care. I don't care if they're not good enough. I'm going to do my research. I'm going to find out they're not good enough or they don't have the right answers or what have you. Tell me what you're for, what you are good at. What are your strengths? Because what, I've seen people say, "Oh, I'm a witch," and they're wearing the goth and everything else, and it's like, "Woo, I'm into this because that's who I'm trying to be this week." Okay, that's fine. So you like the aesthetic. Is that who you really are? I don't know. That's not for me to judge. Instead, if you want to discuss magic, we'll sit down and discuss magic. You want to talk about rocks? Hey, we're going to talk about rocks. I would rather hear what you are about and what you are interested in and what you're for than what you are against. Period. So, you want to be part of the conversation? Talk about what you want, what you're looking for, what you're interested in. Not just, I follow the Norse traditions because that's what I think I should do. No, tell me why. What called you to that path? That's what I want to hear. Anyway, send me the email. It's wildepaisley@gmail.com. That's wildepaisley@gmail.com. That's it for tonight. I will be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Pacific time, right here on Truth Frequency Radio or on YouTube. So wherever you want to join me, come in and say hello. We'll see you tomorrow. Merry meet and merry parts and merry meet again.